Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and just stick around. Also, if you need any help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. You can click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's get into today's video. So today we're going to talk about the manifesting method of manifesting your desire in steps and why this is a very good solution if you're feeling a lot of resistance to your manifestation, if your end goal, your end result feels too far removed from you, too far away, if for whatever reason you have a lot of resistance to it, if it feels very hard or even almost impossible, how manifesting in steps can actually help alleviate that and help make it easier and help you actually get to your desire and manifest it. So let's talk about that. So in my opinion, resistance is the number one enemy of manifestation. Now, that does not mean that your manifestation is not going to come, even if you have a lot of resistance. Remember, your desire is a promise. Remember that if you persist in your desired reality, it is going to come at some point, it is going to manifest. But if you have a lot of resistance to it, if you have a lot of back and forth, if you have a lot of double-mindedness, a lot of doubt, a lot of questioning it, it's going to be delayed, most likely. And it might also torture you. It might make you feel hurt. It might make you feel very tired, very overwhelmed, perhaps. You might want to give up multiple times. And in general, it's not going to feel like a very happy, very pleasant, very enjoyable process, which is what manifestation is supposed to be like. So why put yourself through that? Why not make it more fun? And to make it more fun, it is, in my opinion, essential to find ways to alleviate resistance. Now, one thing I want to say about resistance, and I want you to remember that, is that it's actually purely a thing of the mind. So resistance is not actually real in the sense that whatever we see as obstacles, whatever we see as opposing circumstances, whatever we perceive and label as difficulties or barriers in our way, or perhaps someone said something, our person said something in the 3D, and now we think it's impossible that we're going to manifest them, or whatever it might be, it is still a circumstance, and it is still upon us to put a label on it and assign a meaning to it. And the only reason that is part of our resistance is if we assign an unfavorable meaning to it. Meaning, if we decide that this is an obstacle for us, a barrier for us, a difficulty, a circumstance that's opposing our desire and the manifestation of our desire, that is the only reason we have resistance. It's not a real thing in itself, but a lot of the time we perceive circumstances as obstacles. And we tend to think of those obstacles as something that is going to make things impossible for us or very difficult. And so for that reason, we build resistance towards the manifestation. So I want you to keep that in mind, that you don't have to have resistance. You will hear some coaches out there saying, there is no resistance. They are right. It's true. It's not that there is no resistance. It's that it's an illusion. It's something that's purely of the mind. We build our own resistance. However, we do have a rational mind. Sometimes it is hard for our mind to see past our 3D circumstances and what we're seeing and experiencing right now. So if that's the case with you, with one or more of your manifestations, and your mind is kicking up resistance, don't fret. There are ways to alleviate that resistance. There are ways to make the process more fun and actually easier for you. So one of my favorite methods to release resistance and let go of it and actually enjoy the manifesting process is to actually go in steps. So what does that mean? It means that instead of going to the very end, and I'm going to give some examples there in a second, instead of going to the very, very end, whatever let's say your big goal, your big desire is, instead you break it down in chunks and you manifest it step by step. You break it down in smaller chunks, and you manifest the first step, and then once that first step manifests, you move on to the next step, and then to the next step, and then to the next one, until you build it up, and eventually you manifest the big desire, the bigger desire, let's say. So let's say you're manifesting a specific person. And let's say the 3D right now is showing that you two are in no contact. And your end result, your end desired outcome is marriage with that person. But because in your 3D you're in no contact right now, and perhaps you've had the falling out, you've had a fight, maybe you are having resistance, and maybe it's very hard for you to imagine and to believe and to convince yourself that you can actually be in a marriage with that person. So in that case, if you're kicking up a lot of resistance in your mind, one good thing that you could do would be to start manifesting that person in steps. So first, you start by manifesting perhaps a text or regular contact, regular communication. Once that happens, once that materializes in the 3D, it's already given you some confidence that you can manifest, and you've already gotten a little boost. And then you can start perhaps manifesting dating them. And then maybe after that materializes, you can move on to the next step, which is dating them exclusively. These are just examples. You pick your end goals. I'm just giving you examples. And then step by step, after the first thing has manifested, you move on to the second thing. And then you move on to the next thing, and then to the next thing, and then to the next thing, until you finally get to the stage where you manifest a marriage proposal and marriage with them and all that. That was just an example. Another example, a lot of people have a lot of resistance with money when they're manifesting big amounts of money. So if your 3D is very different to what you're manifesting, and you are wanting to manifest a big amount of money, perhaps you might find it easier to start with smaller amounts. Let's say you're manifesting $1 million. Well, maybe you can't convince yourself by any means that this is possible or easy or likely or probable to happen to you. So maybe you start by manifesting, say, 5,000. And once this manifests, you have already gotten your boost, you have more confidence in your manifesting capabilities, and then you go on to manifest maybe 10,000 or 15 or 20 or 50,000. And then maybe that becomes 100,000 or 200,000, and so on and so forth. And that's how you build your confidence little by little, and you build an inner knowing that you can manifest, which is very, very important. And it's actually the number one thing that makes you a confident manifester. And you get the boost with each manifestation, and you get the fun. Also, you get, the high from each manifestation. So then you just start building it up and building it up and building it up. And your faith is also increasing, and you're building up your faith, you're building up your confidence, you're getting all the boosts, and you just keep going until you reach your ultimate goal. So one other point I wanted to make here, because I know a lot of you might be confused about what living in the end means, and if actually manifesting in steps is living in the end, or if you're not living in the end, if you're manifesting in steps. Living in the end means knowing that whatever you're manifesting is coming. Living your life with that knowledge and that confidence. So even if you set a, let's say, smaller goal, something that feels more attainable to you, something that feels more doable and more likely, you're still living in the end of that. It doesn't mean that if you're in no contact with your person and you start by manifesting contact, and then you continue with manifesting dating them, and then you manifest a relationship, and then perhaps moving in together and all the next steps, it doesn't mean that you have given up on the end goal of eventually marrying them. And keep in mind that, especially with specific people, the way relationships naturally progress anyway, it's likely to manifest in steps anyway. You're not going to go from no contact to marriage overnight. I mean, sure, maybe you might, but how probable is that? Most likely, you're going to get back into contact, you're going to date for a little while, then you make it more serious, perhaps you move in together, eventually they propose. It's going to manifest in steps anyway, it's going to unfold in steps. So you're not doing anything different to how things would be unfolding in reality anyway. So don't worry about not living in the end if you decide to take things slower and actually do the step-by-step thing, because that is going to help you combat your resistance It's going to help give you little boosts here and there and give you confidence in the whole manifesting process and your manifesting abilities. And then you can just have fun and you keep manifesting until your big goal. And you don't have to do that if you're one of those people who can actually dream big and can go straight to the end no matter what their circumstances are showing. That's fine too. That's great. Do that. But if you're having a lot of resistance and if you're having a lot of trouble convincing yourself that your end goal, your end result is possible, then manifesting in steps is a very, very, very good method that will likely alleviate your resistance. So if you fall into that category, I suggest you try it. And I'm confident that it's going to help you feel better. And remember, don't worry about not living in the end. You are living in the end with every end goal that you set. It doesn't mean that you have lost sight of your big goal, the marriage with a person, or the $1 million, or whatever it is. Or let's say you're starting a business and you start small, but you're envisioning having millions in sales. You haven't lost sight of that. You're still going towards that direction. It's just you're breaking it down in smaller chunks that are more believable to combat your resistance, to help yourself manifest it easier and more naturally and in a more fun way that won't torture yourself. Okay? So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.